Welcome to Navigating Neurodiversity, the podcast where two moms, Natalie
and Carly, share the real, raw, and often beautiful journey of raising neurodivergent kids alongside their neurotypical siblings.
Here we trade perfection for connection, celebrate differences, and create a space filled with hope, inspiration, laughter, and a whole lot of heart. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's navigate this together.
How do you ask Nolan about something that happened 5 hours ago?
Gosh.
Right? You can't. Like,
I
how
know.
can I say, earlier today, why did you do that? Like, they can't.
Yeah, the
answer
timeline.
that.
It's like the timeline's messed up or something. And like we said in previous episodes, it's like they live in the present. They are very present oriented. That's a good point. I can't really ask him.
I know. It's like, well, can't even really get in trouble because how am I going to say, hey, earlier, why did you, pee on the slide when you were at the park at camp? Like, it's 4 hours later. Like, I don't know. He's like, I've moved on, Mom. Move on.
Or like I did. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Right. So I found myself questioning, how do you ask about past things or future things? I mean, truthfully, he has a hard time even understanding like tomorrow. No, not now, later. He really is in the moment.
Yeah, that's really important that you said not now, later, because a lot of the stuff I do with Nolan is first then statements. Do they hammer that with Mace? Because I'm always, if Nolan wants to do something and I'm like, oh gosh, no, we can't do that right now. First, we're gonna brush our teeth and then we're gonna get our pajamas on or whatever we're gonna do. Like let's say he wants to watch a movie. Friday night is always our movie night. All the kids expect pizza and then movie. But Nolan's like, movie. And I'm like, first pizza, then movie. It's kind of hard. I think they have to live that way. They at least know one thing comes before the other. So the question is with educating them or disciplining them is, when does that line start? Like where does that line start of like the timing, like 4 hours ago or an hour ago? Could they recall that like first we did this and now we're doing this?
I mean, you can't walk around with like a clock.
Yeah, it's hard.
What's that guy's name?
Oh wait, oh my gosh,
the
the
big
rapper
clock on his face.
oh my gosh, the rapper.
Yeah,
What is
can't
his
think of what his
name?
name
He's got the gold teeth and
Yeah.
stuff.
The clock on. I'm gonna wear a big clock necklace.
Flava-Flav.
Oh my goodness! You're gonna walk around like
true.
Flava-Flav with
Who
clocks.
knows? Maybe he had kids that, needed that check-in.
Maybe he was just always late.
Oh, that's so
Funny. All these different things we've tried early on. What are some things that were told to you, or treatments or therapies that early on you had to try to work into your lives?
Well, aside from like all of the therapies included in early intervention, I mean, we had every single one. As soon as Nolan came out of the NICU, it was like, okay, what is my next step? I was just so scared. I didn't know anything about the NICU, newborn intensive care unit. And as soon as we were leaving, we're signing the papers and I was like, oh, okay, we're going home. And they've had all these different doctors come visit and they've had all these different therapists come visit. And I was deer in the headlights. So what do I do when I get home though? Okay, start with early intervention. They'll send somebody out to the house to test, bring a bunch of therapists with. And so we literally had PT, OT, developmental therapy, speech. But we had therapies since he was 2 months old. 2 months old. Like, what can you do at 2 months? But we had it because they were just watching every little thing, testing all the reflexes. I mean, it was intense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess after early intervention, we went the ABA route.
Yeah, the ABA route. There's a lot to dive into with that.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
With ABA therapy, that's something that's definitely been a controversial topic. People love it, people hate it. I like to explain it like, you know what? It's like a masseuse or someone doing your nails or your hair. There's some good ones and there's some crappy ones. I realized that over time I have to take charge. So I have my son in ABA therapy, but it's evolved over time. But when he was first diagnosed, I had home therapy. So I had a wonderful company come out, and I'll tell you what, I learned a lot. And in the beginning, that was very good for me to learn the repetitive nature of the business. And I'm aware of a lot of controversy because people don't like that they do have to rough up their day or cause agitation to the child in order to have the correct outcome. But it's just like we just talked about. Everything can't be smooth. Life is not smooth. The days do not go by smoothly. Shit happens, you know?
There's a phrase that I absolutely love. If you are not green, you are not growing. If you are not trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone, you are not growing. So it's hard for us to get our kids to grow, right? But the reality is, you need to get out of that comfort zone. It's so hard. Everything comes back to dopamine. It's a concept that dopamine is central to motivation, right? It's reward, it's pleasure. You ever hear of somebody that has an addictive
Personality.
So that means you are easily addicted to something you enjoy. You put somebody who has an addictive personality in something that they're passionate about, I'm telling you, you will see these people will take charge. They will change things. They will run with it. They will change the status quo. They will be highly successful in their area, in their niche, in their passion. I think we both have a passion for helping others. We see what we've gone through, and it's like, if we can help somebody with like a 1 or a 2-year-old that's just starting right out the gate,
When we started out in our county, there's early intervention that you could have with your children that are before 3 years old.
And so, of course, when the delays were showing and the eye contact was not showing, we decided to have people come out and do an assessment. And so they decided that he needed OT and speech and developmental, which is basically like a kindergarten teacher coming to your house with new fun toys. I had constantly people coming in and out. And one of the things the developmental specialist said was that you could get him on the waiting list for testing for any neurological disorder. And at the time, of course, I'm denial, hope. I don't have a lot of kids around me. My sister hadn't had kids yet. My friends, most of them didn't live around, or they had older kids because I had a little bit of a late start. And so I didn't have other examples to compare Mason with. The best way that she can say it is, hey, there's an 8-9 month wait, so get on the list. And if things develop fine after that, then just cancel it. But you don't want to not be on the list because unfortunately it is so long. And so that was such a relaxing, calming way for me to do it, so that when the time actually came, okay, yes, I still went through with it. That's a whole nother talk about those 4 different meetings, hoping that he does the right thing. And then, of course, he didn't. And you're sitting around this round table and there's 12 people and it's about an hour and a half long. And they all go through their assessment and what happened.
Sounds like an IEP meeting.
Yeah. Let me tell you, as they were talking about how, okay, there shouldn't be gaps in the progression of the things that they know. For example, he doesn't share with you, or he doesn't look at you or want to involve you with his toys, but yet he can count to 100. So they talked about the gaps, and that the typical is that they're learning things in a natural progression. Now I know the answer. Now I know that they are going to say he's autistic, but yet you have to go and listen to everybody's assessment. And then they come back at the end. It's this big buildup and they say, so yes, we do believe he has autism. And everybody just stops and stares at you. And then, of course, I'm crying. I'm grabbing the Kleenex. I was so mad. I had so much rage and anger built up because I said, you could have just started out with that.
Yeah,
it was this big buildup of how, and I'm so emotionally vested in him. They've got him playing. So I'm staring at him and watching him play. And they're telling me all what they're thinking, and then they come to this answer, and then they're all just staring at me, and I'm crying, and I'm like, okay, well, now what then? You know what?
Yeah.
So much was built up of,
Here's your diagnosis. And then you're like, okay.
yeah, and then I get some stupid packet that talks about all the grants and the this and the that, and you know what? I knew that what the answer was going to be. I knew it the first 10 minutes in by what they were talking about. But then they all just, so I don't know if they were trying not to cry, if they were trying to keep it together.
Is this like a rule? Like they have to go through everything before they say what it is?
I think the evaluations of the diagnosis needs to change.
I would definitely have it in a more softer setting. I would give the answer first and then explain the reasons why. It was the buildup was so intense, I could hardly even keep it together. And then by the time they gave me the answer, which was already evident, I was so upset that it was just a quiet room of everybody watching me blow my nose and grab my Kleenex. That it was like, okay, well, now what? Keep talking. Don't just sit there and watch me cry.
Like, now what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I want to talk about ABA therapy. Trusting your gut. You could do it. You don't have to do it. But to me, it felt like it was a little assistant there for me. When he was first diagnosed, I had the home ABA therapy. So yes, I had to get used to a revolving door in my house, but I had the early intervention coming in and speech. And I learned a lot about getting on the floor with him, narrating his day, and giving him the words to practice and say. And so what I didn't know is that I can determine the goals. However, I didn't have friends that had kids, so I don't know what you're supposed to be learning at what age and what the milestones.
It's the firstborn problem.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
if you have a child that's born first and you're a new mom, you are like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality.
Yeah. He was happy and amazing and never cried. And they were giving kisses.
Yeah.
And he would chew on my chin before he got teeth.
Like,
I mean, it was like, probably that was a stem. But,
No.
you know, but I learned good things and I learned bad things. I learned that you have to learn to point and you have to learn to say up or no, or, and again, keep in mind, he's barely 3 years old. So, but I did notice that it seemed a bit robotic. Do this, clap, 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 touch your head. Do this. It definitely was a game of Simon Says for a while, which I didn't love, but that lasted for about a year and a half until I felt that it was time to practice getting him out. So I found a place that mimicked a preschool setting. They had circle time. There was other kids. It also practiced getting him out of the house, me dropping him off, saying goodbye. So
What age was that?
he was about 4.5, 5, and I didn't do it on purpose. First of all, I was sick of having people in my house. And second of all, it was also time to get him to branch out and get used to leaving me. I work from home. So it was only me. I had never left him a night in his life. And so to get him to practice going out each day, let me tell you, that was wonderful. I'd also had a 1-year-old, so I got to spend time with him while Mason was out in a preschool type setting, having his calendar time and his music time and his lunch. And so then it was time to get him in school. Okay, so now he's about to enter first grade. And so I said, well, he's bigger now. He needs to assimilate to public school. And so having the therapy outside that mimicked the school setting worked wonderful for a transition into first grade. And then I have ABA after school, just a couple hours, not a lot. So now I'm welcoming folks back into my home. However, I want to make sure that it's totally your decision. And it's also important to know that you can change the goals at any moment. You decide what you want them to work on. I need him to work on brushing his teeth. That's a goal now. Every night after dinner, they go and brush his teeth with him. I see it as a helper in the evenings for us. We want to work on crossing the street. So guess what? Every day he learns how to cross the street while he goes to the mailbox and gets our mail. So they make a fun thing out of it. We're working on playing with your brother. He asked to play with his brother every day. They've got to play a game or play chase. So I'm working on older kid things at home and it's not too much. And so long story short, go with your gut. You make up your own goals. Think of it as a helper. Do not make it feel robotic. The last thing I want to do is make him feel like he's a science experiment. I 1000% make sure to say, you are not going to ask him, Mason, how old are you? 8? Type, 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 type. You're not going to type the answers and collect the data in the computer. No, thank you. He is not a science experiment. I make sure I say that to the BCBA and that we're going to mimic a natural real life setting. I wish I didn't have to say that, but I do. And so once everybody's on board, you tailor it to what fits your kid. ABA therapy does not work for everybody. Home therapy, in-center therapy does not work for everybody. You just do what feels right for yourself.
That's amazing advice. I think the big question is, like, why do we do this? Like, as parents of children, that are, we see these little symptoms under the age of 5 or 3 or whatever, and it's like they're not fitting the quote unquote mold of what a little kiddo is supposed to be doing at this age. Then we're like freaking out as parents. What do? We take them to the doctor, then they're like, oh, we notice these things too. I think the question really is, why do we do the therapies? Like, why do we do all of this? I don't even want to say this, like, fix them. Do we want to change that? There's really a lot of people out there that have neurodivergence that are incredibly proud and thriving in society with that diagnosis, whether it's autism or sensory processing, or now they even have this term called allistic, which is the people who aren't autistic. It's like we're really just like categorizing like everyone, which is fine. I think that a lot of people try to understand other people by putting them in a category. We make these assumptions, which can be scary. We're trying to do what we think is right for our kids, and it's so hard to think if we're doing too much. Are we changing anything that is just meant to be? It's like a philosophical question almost.
Right. Yeah. No, it is hard. I mean, you have to do certain things. It's nice if you have manners. It's nice if you are respectful in public and don't interrupt people. I mean, I don't want him, verbally stimming so loud that other kids can't concentrate in class or something, or, can't pay attention during a movie in a movie theater because he's being so loud. Some people say, let him do it. Some people say, stop him. It's just every situation's different. I mean, when I could tell when he really gets into it and he really gets loud, I mean, he's got to be giving himself a headache. He has little things to kind of keep him calm and is okay. But, when it gets really loud, I have to put a stop to it. Do I want to stop him completely? I suppose I do, but not if it's regulating him. So I guess
that's a good point. That is a good point. We want them to be self-expressive. We want them to be themselves. So then it's like we also have to juggle the possibility that they're going to be unpredictable, which is like, some of our fun stories about being nude somewhere. Nolan has, done some things that I'm like, was not expecting that. So it's just kind of like, it's a beautiful, crazy balancing act moms like us have to expect and deal with, embrace, and love, because I guess God just designed us that way, we're meant for it.
Yeah. I don't want to be pitied, but like I need to vent sometimes, right? Like we just went on a little vacation getaway. He's having absolutely the time of his life. He is pacing up and down the water line, right where it flows. He's looking at how the water hits the sand and then it goes away, so it casts this shadow and his footprints indent in that wet sand. It's so cool. But he's coming dangerously close to some other beachgoers that are kind of just sitting right on that water line, and he's not going to run into them. He's not going to do it on purpose. He's not going to ruin somebody's sandcastle, or maybe he is. It's kind of that anxiety. But you know what it is I was exhausted. Like I just wanted to sit there and I did. Parts of me did sit there and smile, and I was taking awesome pictures, and I was soaking in the sun and looking at the beautiful chunky clouds. But yet I also had to follow him. And if I wasn't following him every step of the way or giving them the words to say, then my husband was having to do it. And I'm sorry, but I was exhausted. I'm stressed out. We all do so much for our kids to have them have such an amazing time. But and I don't know if I want pity. I don't know. But everybody's always talks about him. But you know what? I'm struggling here a lot of the time.
Tired. I think a couple of things you mentioned are the sand and the water is incredibly poetic. Our kids, it's almost like they live life poetically, just looking at the world in a different way. You're right. The water and the sand, that's really beautiful, and really taking the time to look at something like that. But I totally agree with you. Protecting other people and protecting them, because other people, strangers walking by, you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they expect. The assumptions are like that they don't care maybe, or like, no, but then you have people that are overly anal and they care about every little thing. And you just don't know what person's going to walk by and think like the weirdest thing about whatever is going on. When you said that, it made me think about, my other kiddos and how we go to the beach. And quite often, because it's like my favorite place to be, but I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. I'm exhausted when I'm there. Not only because I have the neurodivergence, situation with Nolan, because I'm like really worried about like the waves and like if he goes too far away, I've got a life vest on him, but at the same time, I'm still worried. And then I've got the other three and they're skipping stones. And like there's that other thing where they're like, they're not old enough to be like perfect with this. And their judgment is like not 100%, right? It's a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's people walking by. Just don't get all excited about it and do something really crazy, like hit them with a rock. I feel like we feel this way like exponentially because our kids are like living in a poetic existence, we'll just say. And then we have the neurotypical kiddos, like all the other kids in between, right? And it's like, okay, we're still worried about them too, right? It's like you can't win as a parent. I mean, that's why we're all tired, man. Like, I think all the moms, even if you're listening right now and you're like, oh, I just happened to tune in here, all of us parents are tired. It's all perspective, I think,
I guess it's just not knowing his next move, I mean,
unpredictability.
Typically we could judge the next move.
The irony.
Other kids. Yeah.
Because we teach them predictability. Like through predictability, we're teaching them, okay, this, then that. First this, then that.
Like the coolest thing, he was like, they were kind of mudding up one of the sides of the sandcastle, and he was watching a girl get it wet and mud it up where they're tapping it like little, and then he started doing it. And it was just this other family sandcastle, and they didn't care, and it was so cool, and he was doing it. But then he was getting all up in their chairs and their business. Like, I'm just saying, oh, sorry, you never know what he's going to do next. And then the mom was like, that's okay. He's just curious. So again, being so pleasantly surprised with people's reactions so far. But boy, man, the first time somebody does say something to me, they've got like years of built up scenarios in my head. They are going to get my wrath.
Teach me your ways. I need some ammo for later.
Well, one of the stories that I remember is this was a few years ago, and we're at this festival, and you have to wait in line for the jumpy because they only let about 10 people in at a time. And he was waiting in line, and so he jumped in, but the kid who's monitoring that said, no, you got to get out. Not yet. So anybody else would just get out, and he's still first in line, right? But he got out because he thought, oh, no. So he got out and kind of went out of line. I go, no, Mace, you're still in line. You just couldn't go in just yet. So then right as he goes and walks back up to the front, there's this grandma standing with her granddaughter in line. And so it looked as though Mason cut. So I hear her talking to her granddaughter or whatever, and she's going, well, yeah, if he had manners, then he would go to the back of the line. And I wanted to say something so bad. And I started to, but it was just too late because it was like, whatever. I wish he had his voice because he would say, oh, no, I was first in line already. And so just little scenarios like that are so aggravating.
Oh my gosh. The mom and me just want to go, like, what the heck? But
if he had manners.
And it was the grandma.
Like, I'm gonna get in a throwdown here.
Grandma's going down. Oh my gosh, if I was there, we'd both be looking at each other. No, that is so hard. But yeah, they can't say anything. Like clearly, like, yeah, he would have said, like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, that was not my intention. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to your child or you.
He literally was first. Ready.
Grandma's going down. Thank you so much for joining us today on Navigating Neurodiversity. We hope you found a little hope, a little laughter, and a lot of connection.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, please leave us a review. It helps parents like you find our community.
Until next time, remember, you're doing better than you think, and you are never alone on this journey.